In this video, I will give you all 5 players that you need to succeed plus bonus options for the Thursday Night Football single game slate on FanDuel in the single most banged up and injured contest I've ever seen in daily fantasy sports. With 6 skill players from the 49ers watching from the sidelines as the Packers, short 3 or potentially 4 starters themselves, take the battle to San Francisco. My name's Quick Pick Nick, and having simulated a few thousand different lineup combinations, here are your locks and lotteries for tonight, Thursday, November 5th. If you like this kind of fast-paced calculated content, subscribe and stay tuned for more lineups throughout the season, including a primary picks video for the main slate on DraftKings tomorrow. Starting off with a lock in the MVP position, my model recommends the player who will be able to perform tonight regardless of who suits up around him, the man who is able to make bad players look good and good players great, Aaron Rodgers. Whether Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, or Allen Lazard are in the game doesn't matter for Rodgers, as he has historically been able to make plays and move the ball with players of all skill levels throughout his career. Green Bay has refused to put any substantial firepower around Rodgers, drafting another quarterback this year of Jordan Love instead of a tight end or receiver, but that hasn't mattered. Even without Davante Adams, whose success is largely due to Rodgers in the first place, Rodgers was able to keep the Packers afloat, winning every game when Adams was injured. The inactivities and COVID reserve list won't affect Rodgers' MVP output, and facing a potentially overrated 49ers defense who have lost to teams including the Eagles and Dolphins, Rodgers should be able to produce once more with a bountiful fantasy output. Plus, he's not even the most expensive option, ranking $500 cheaper than the top choice. Speaking of that most expensive choice on FanDuel, for the second lock of this lineup, my model selected Davante Adams. While Adams' projection is lower than Rodgers, he is still worth spending extra on because of the unusually large amounts of money we can save later when we take the backups or replacements for those injured starters. Adams is the best place to spend that extra cash, as he's never been targeted less than 10 times in one of his full games this season. In addition, in all of those full games except the anomaly against Tampa Bay, Adams has managed above 26 fantasy points. So if Adams sustains this pace and manages yet another 26 plus fantasy point performance, he may be worth slotting it at MVP even. But Rodgers has shown similar numbers throughout the season as well, recording just as many 26 plus point contests as Adams. Moving on to the lotteries, the first backup my model selected and taking advantage of the 49ers banged up offense is Jerick McKinnon. It seems as if Jermichael Hasty is the go-to in San Francisco without Tevin Coleman or Raheem Mostert active, but that doesn't mean that McKinnon isn't also involved. In fact, McKinnon is typically employed in the Niners offense on short gain plays, 3rd and 1 situations where McKinnon is able to plow his way to a first down or even a touchdown, which is exactly what happened last week. Hasty and the 49ers drove the ball to the goal line where McKinnon was able to take over and push the ball for a touchdown. The Packers themselves ranked 28th in the league in rushing touchdowns allowed per game, meaning McKinnon will likely find himself in a similar situation tonight, as Green Bay's relatively better secondary forces San Francisco to just brute force their way into the end zone. Following McKinnon, our second lottery, who is yet another backup expected to see an increase in production, is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Having taken a back seat recently to some of the new up-and-comers in Green Bay, the Packers will once again need to call upon Valdes-Scantling to step up and make his presence known. Earlier in the season, Valdes-Scantling played a huge role in the offense, averaging over 6 targets per game over the first 4 weeks. As the season progressed, this number has continued to drop, but without their pass-catching running backs or Allen Lazard. Valdes-Scantling will have yet another opportunity tonight. Finally, the last lottery here is tentative to change based on the final injury report, but if active, Aaron Jones is another player to spend that extra saved money on. Although San Francisco has a relatively tougher rush defense, allowing the 10th least rush yards per game and 3rd least rush touchdowns per game in the NFL, Aaron Jones isn't primarily a rushing running back, as he is able to both run on the ground and run routes in the infield. Plus, the 49ers haven't faced a run game as good as Jones, which might catch them off guard. If Jones can't play though and is ruled out, the second best lineup ranked by projected fantasy points from my simulations included Nick Mullins instead of Jones, as Mullins will likely be able to score somewhere in the high 10s range without worrying about interceptions too much, as the Packers rank 31st in the leagues in forced picks. Mullins is pretty cheap on FanDuel too, at only $12,000, meaning we'll be able to upgrade Valdes-Scantling to a more proven and consistent option throughout the entirety of 2020, Robert Tonyan. Both of these lineups look good, regardless of Jones' status, so I'd sleep easy submitting either. That's what my model was able to come up with for the Thursday Night Football NFC Showdown in California this Thursday, November 5th. This has been Quick Pick Nick, the intersection for sports, data analysis, and speed. Thanks for watching.